Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell by the caption of the video today, we are going to be doing a short full set with a little French tip. So this is for Valentine's Day. She just wanted something a little simple and cute. So yeah, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and check me out on my social medias, which will be in the description below. So I'm starting off by pushing back her cuticles, and you just want to make sure that you're doing this step because it does help with lifting overall and just the, retention rate in general. Exposing the entire nail is really important. So I'm then going around the cuticle area with my cone shaped drill bit, and this is just getting all of the excess from underneath of the new growth that we just exposed. And now I'm going in with my 180 sanding thinner. You can get these off of Amazon for pretty cheap. And now I'm just going around the entire natural nails, starting with the cuticle area and working my way down. This is really important because this is what gets rid of all of the natural shine on the nail, and that is what helps prevent lifting and helps the nails retain. So you really want to make sure that you're doing that step. I don't have it on camera, but I do also go in and do cuticle care, which is when I clip the cuticles. That's totally, optional. It's between you and your client. However, I do recommend because it helps prevent lifting and helps, the nail quality overall. And I know that might sound like repetitive, but the prep phase is literally just that. Like, it helps with all things, retention and lifting. Like, this is the most important part, in my opinion. If you want your nails to last and you don't want them to lift or break, etc., you need to put your all into your prep. So as you can see now, I'm just placing the nail tips on, and my biggest tip with this is to make sure that when you're placing the nail tip, you don't place it following the finger, you place it following the rest of the nails, so that way they can all be straight. I'm sure, as you guys know, you might have some clients or even yourself have, one or two crooked fingers. Even if you place the nail tip exactly how the finger's flowing, it still looks crooked regardless. And that is why you line all of the nail tips up and match them, according to the other ones. Now I know that, let me rephrase that. I start with the pinky and, I make that as straight as possible. And when I apply the following nail tips, I make sure that I'm holding the previous nail closely and that it is straight according to that. As you guys could see, I just did a little bit there. And also with your nail tips, always make sure that the nail tips fit from side to side. Never use a nail tip that is too short, and never use a nail tip that is entirely too big because it'll just affect their retention, and especially a nail tip that is too small, because applying that pressure, having to force it down to fit from sidewall to sidewall, it'll eventually lose that and pop right off. So if you have to, use a nail tip that is a little bit bigger or like the next size up rather than too small, for that reason. So now I'm going in, like I said, we're just doing a short square set, and I'm not really focusing too much on the sidewalls because the nail tips are pretty much perfectly fit to her fingers. So I'm just touching them up just a little bit, and mind you, after we do the acrylic, I will go back in and file even more. So it's no point in, filing double time because it's going to get done later, and it doesn't really need to be done prior in this case anyways. And I am just touching up the free edge to make them a little bit more straight. I'm filing at a 90-degree angle straight up and down, and I'm making sure to hold the client's finger. That way there's not a lot of friction on her natural nail with the nail tip, I guess I should say. I like to, of course, always flip my client's hand to make sure that everything is nice and even, nice and straight. Looking at it from different angles, that is really important. And like I said, make sure, I like to pull back the client's skin because the files I use are 180 grit. They're 80 grit, so they're pretty sharp. And one wrong swipe could definitely cause a gash in my client's, skin, finger, and that sucks and it hurts really bad. It's so uncomfortable, y'all. I've had it happen to me before and I hate it, but that's why I just recommend pulling back the skin, and yeah, being careful. So now I'm taking that same sanding band and I'm just going over where the nail tip and the natural nail meet, and I'm just blending the nail tip in. So you do not have to use a lot of pressure here. You don't want to use a lot of pressure here because that will just cause friction, which will cause your client's nail to burn. So you just want to lightly, go back and forth over the nail tip and just kind of blend it in to where it's not as apparent. And this is this is actually important because this is what will help with your nails lasting, like retention as well. Like I said, you guys probably are like, girl, you keep saying that, but I'm telling y'all, everybody always asks, how do you get your nails to stay on for a month? How do your clients come back? Because my prep, I do every little thing that I need to do. These steps matter, like literally. So the first liquid you guys didn't apply was Mia Secret Dehydrator. You can get that from Amazon, and that is just another layer of dehydration, getting the natural oils off. And then the second liquid was my Young Nails Protein Bond. I did apply 2 layers. That is totally optional. You do not have to. It's not necessary, but I do, and I'm telling y'all, I have not had a single break, like literally. So you can also get that off Amazon, but that is important because that is what helps with getting the nails ready for the acrylic application. It helps the acrylic adhere better, and it's overall really important. So they have a lot of brands out there, but those are the 2 that I recommend, and they're very cost friendly. So like I said, you can get them off Amazon, so I totally recommend. And like I said, we are doing a short set, so we wanted to do like a opaque, I don't want to say clear, but y'all know, like a milky white base, and then we're going to do a pink French tip because it is for Valentine's Day, but she didn't want to like overdo it. So the acrylic I'm using here is Snow White or Snow Bunny, Snowflake, something of that sort, and I did get it from Sugar and Cream, which is a Instagram boutique. I highly heavy on the highly recommend, y'all. I love them so much. They are my favorite acrylic brand right now, have been for a while. I will continue to use them forever. So if you want to know the exact name of this, comment down below and I will reply back with the exact name. I just know that it's Snow something. So as you can see, with the short nails, I only had to use about 2 beads, maybe 3 if I felt like I wanted to add a little extra. But I'm starting by placing the bead just above where the natural nail and the nail tip meet, and I'm just lightly feathering it down, just patting it down. A big tip that I want to give is that the edge of the brush is for placing and pushing, and the body of the brush is for patting and spreading. So definitely remember that. I think that might help with acrylic application, and it might help your hand a lot better, like your rhythm, because I know a lot of people try to use the whole entire brush for X, Y, and Z, or the tip to pull it down, drag it down, and that is not always ideal. So that's what I recommend. I'm going back in with the second bead, and I'm placing it right above the first one, not on the cuticle, right below. If you are familiar with my videos, you know that I always say placing the cuticle bead right on the cuticle is never a good idea because it will just flood the cuticle. And if your acrylic floods, you're for sure going to get lifting. So worst case is, you guys, if you do get a lot of acrylic on the cuticle, because it happens, it's no big deal. You just have to take your brush, and you'll see me do this on every single nail, whether there's acrylic there or not. It's just a force of habit. But you can just take your brush with a little monomer and clean up the cuticle, wipe around the skin and the cuticle area, and you should be good. But overall, I just would try to avoid that, only because there might be just that one little spot that you thought you wiped and you didn't, or you did wipe it and it still flooded even more. So and another thing, you guys, when applying the acrylic, as you can see on this one, it was a little thinner, I guess, how you can still see the nail tip. That is probably going to be a nail that I use 3 beads on. And so I always say, especially with the short nails, to just start with, 2 beads and add on if you need to. Some people can, do it with one, and some people do it with 5. It's all up to your liking and what's comfortable for you and what you like with, your set. So I just recommend what I do. You can do it how you want to, or whatever is comfortable for you, and that is okay. In my head, I like to do 2 just because I know that I'm getting enough, but it's not too much to where if I want to go back and add another bead or 2, I can do that, and I won't have a big fat chunky nail, because I always tell you guys, work smarter, not harder. You don't want to do more than what you have to, and you don't want to end up getting to the end of the application phase, and now you're about to spend 30 minutes on filing and blending and sealing. So I'm just lightly patting and feathering the acrylic down. As you can see by the pinky and the ring finger, it's like the application is laid, y'all. Like, literally laid. I never played with that. And yeah, it's going to save me a lot of time at the end. Like, of course, I'm still going to file and, seal with my e-file, but it's totally, like, not going to take any time at all, honestly, because I'm making sure to stay super neat with my application, and that consists of constantly wiping the sides, constantly wiping the cuticle area and the skin, just overall staying pretty neat, and it does pay off, definitely. So another thing that I wanted to recommend is that when you are applying the acrylic, you don't want to have your bead to be too wet or too dry. You do want to get like the perfect consistency. Well, not perfect, because nothing's perfect, but you want to try to get a really good consistency. So a tip that I give is, if your bead is dry, just pretty much, if you can place it and then go back and pick up some monomer and add it on to that bead, then cool. But if it doesn't look like it's going to do what it needs to do, then I would just take that L and go ahead and wipe that off, because you don't want to clog your brush or anything. And so if it's too wet, I recommend just waving it a little bit, not in the air literally, but just waving it a little bit, drying it off. That's not really what it's, you're not really drying it off, but that's the best method I could call it, since I didn't do it on camera. Or you can even just, when you're placing the bead, just hold it in place for a few seconds, let it, do what it needs to do, rather than waste the acrylic. It's easier to work with, or to manipulate, I guess I should say, wet acrylic rather than a dry bead. So, yeah. Another thing, y'all, I don't know if it's just me, but I am really, really adamant on the cuticle area. So one thing I do to really, this is really tea, y'all. This is really tea, what I'm about to tell you guys. Have you ever seen nails that are oh my God, they look like they're literally growing from the nail? Those are so natural, they're so clean, so beautiful. Yes, most of that comes from, around the cuticle area anyways. When you apply that cuticle bead, after you're all done applying your acrylic, before you move on to the next nail, I definitely recommend taking the tip of your brush, mind y'all, I said this is tea, listen up ladies, and tucking the acrylic. So what I mean by that is, you really, it's easier to show y'all than to say, but I don't know, I'm gonna have to explain it regardless. So I guess I should say, with taking the edge of your brush, going up to the cuticle area, and just really tucking it in to the cuticle. I don't know if that makes sense, and if you guys want to see a more detailed tutorial, let me know, and I will post something like that on my TikTok or my Instagram, or even I'll do a YouTube on it. I mean, shoot, whatever is easier for y'all. But if that doesn't make sense, let me know. But I'm telling you guys, I promise you, I don't have lifting. The nails last. Girls be coming back, 3-4 weeks later to get that filling, which I know that they shouldn't, but they can, because the quality is so good. So yeah, guys, definitely some tea. Definitely try it out and get back to your girl and let me know how that works. So it's really helped me, but So another thing, you guys, as you can see, on this finger, it's the thumb, it's a little bit wider, so I use 3 beads. But you don't have to, short nails are literally the easiest when it comes the application, because you don't have to use way more than what you need. And see how clean these are, you guys? Like, so clean. If I wanted to, the whole goal with application is to have them so clean that if your client wanted to, you could slap some clear coat on and have them be on their way, which in this case definitely could. They're super clean, but we're gonna get them even cleaner, because I don't play with the shape. So now I am spending just a little bit more time on the side walls and filing them straight up and down at a 90-degree angle. And like I said, I am pulling back client skin. That is really, really important. I'm telling you guys, regardless of what grit file you use, especially if you use a sharper one, you do not want to cut your client. It will be all hell get out. You're never going to cut your client with anything, cuticle care, e-file, with this file, like anything at all, but especially not with this for the e-file. But no pressure, don't get scared, because it's one simple step that can avoid all of that, which is just pulling back the client's skin. So then I'm also filing the free edge to get that a little bit more crisp. We're filing straight up and down at a 90-degree angle. Like I said, and like I always say, make sure that you are flipping your client's hand, looking at it from different angles. That way you can make sure that it is straight, truly straight, rather than just from looking at it from that one point of view. I do that a lot, and I do recommend it, because sometimes it'll look straight for one way, and as you can see, I'm going back in and just filing it again, because I felt like it just needed to be a little bit more clean. This step I always recommend. I always recommend flipping it and filing it. The free edge straight, I guess technically that would be back and forth, since the file's not going up and down. But you want to use it in the same method, how we file straight up and down the free edge when the nail tips are facing you. But when you flip the hand, it's technically still straight up and down. It's just not literally up and down, it's back and forth. So, this step is pretty easy, as you guys could see, since I kept everything so clean. During the acrylic application, I did not have much that I had to do here. It's just, giving them that extra oomph, that extra fancy touch. So now I'm going in with my ceramic drill bit. If you are an OG here on this channel, you know that I used to use my 180 sanding band, which I switched over because this just is a lot cleaner. It's a lot more precise. It can get in the creases way better. I actually used a ceramic drill bit starting off, and then I switched over to sanding bands, and then I'm back here. So this is probably where I'm going to stay. But you don't have to use a coarse drill bit or anything. You want to use a medium grit, if not even a fine grit will work, because the goal here isn't to take anything off. Like, you're not trying to take gel polish off where you need a coarse drill bit. You're just, smoothing it out. So I start by going around the cuticles. This is really important. Sealing the cuticles is what will help prevent that lifting, and what will help keep them nails in good shape so your ladies can have lasting nails. I'm telling you, this is super important. So you do want to kind of take your time, but I'm starting by going around the cuticles and holding the nail pointing downwards. And then after I have sealed that to my liking, making sure it's nice and clean, I just go around and do the rest of the nail, from left to right, up to down, all the way, the entire nail. And the whole tip that I gave you guys on tucking the acrylic into the cuticle, it makes sealing them a lot easier as well, because it's so clean and it's where it needs to be. So you don't have a lot that you really need to do. So as you guys can see, this is now the second step where I said, it's not me having to do much, because I kept everything clean and how it should be in the application process. So remember that, you guys, because not saying that you want to rush through your set, because you definitely don't, but little hacks here and there that will save you time is definitely a plus. So now I'm taking my buffer. I got these, actually a big pack of these off Amazon, super cheap. I recommend them. If you want to know what they are, let me know in the comments. And I just buff my client's nail, the entire nail, and I also do underneath. And then I apply cuticle oil and have her wash them. So now we are moving on to the French tip, and I start by painting a straight line from where I want the French tip to kind of start, straight down on both sides. This can vary, you guys, because some people do it from the very top, some people do it even lower than where I started. It all depends on where you want your French to kind of start, like how deep you want it, I guess. And so this is actually a pretty easy method. Since I've started doing my French tips this way, I have been so in love with French tip, and I literally fly through them. Like, I don't think that they're as hard as they used to be for me. So I just do the line on both sides, and I just, do a swoop and connect them, and I fill in the remaining area with the polish. And if I feel like I need to correct it, I add more here or there, or take off from here or there, and I just, tweak it to my liking. But overall, usually I don't have to do much. So I definitely think that this is a good method because, like I said, it allows you to add if you need or take off if you need very easily. So, and we're not doing like a super, super thick French. So that's why I'm starting it kind of low. We just want, like a cute little shorty type of vibe. And I do recommend before drying it, you need to wipe the side walls and just press your finger up against the free edge to keep that nice clean shape. Excuse my voice, you guys. It has been a real bad weather change where I live, and so your girl is taking a hit. I'm sure y'all know how that is, so excuse me, but I still had to get these tutorials out for y'all. So another thing, you guys, this is tea. Listen up, this is definitely tea, another tea. So when you do your French tip, after they dry and everything, before you apply the cuticle oil and everything, you just want to do your French tip, let it dry, do your top coat, let it dry, and your very last step on the actual nails is to file the free edge. Yes, take that file and file the free edge, and it's going to make your nails a lot cleaner. That French tip is going to go from 10 to 1,000. They look good now, don't get me wrong, they look good now, but it just adds that little razzle. It's like getting your frozen coffee from Starbucks and getting that extra drizzle. It's still just as good, but it gives it a little oomph, you know what I'm saying? So I'm telling y'all, start doing it and thank me later. Come back to this video, y'all, and thank your girl later, because I'm giving y'all all the tea. But as you can see with all of the other nails, I'm literally just doing the same method, 2 lines on the side, and then connecting them and filling them in, correcting the U where it needs to be corrected if it does at all. And it's super easy, y'all. I'm telling you, French tip. I used to dread French tip. All jokes aside, this is a little secret. I have been doing nails for 4 years, and y'all, when I used to get people that would book French tip, I used to cancel their appointment or try to talk them into getting something different. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I used to suck at French tip real bad. Like, real bad. I don't even want to say I sucked, but it took me so long. It literally took me so long, and the French tips, like the Frenchies, were never consistent, I guess. And that I hated that. The clients used to leave happy, but I just used to be thinking, with me being a nail tech, like, them Frenchies could have been a little more consistent or a little more clean overall. So, if you are like that, if you're dealing with that, I promise you guys, do not feel, discouraged or anything, because it takes practice. I literally just told y'all I've been doing nails for 4 years, and I feel like I just got Frenchies down. Acrylic Frenchies, I can slay. Those I just prefer not to do because they do take way longer, and those are way more, those take a lot more. But hand painting Frenchies, it took me, a while. I think I just really honestly got it down packed about a year ago, like to the point, I'm happy with them. They're really cute. They're where they need to be. So I don't say that to discourage anybody about me sucking with French tips. I just say that to show you, I'm sure if you guys are watching this, or if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, you see my work, you're probably like, she does Frenchies so good. Well, y'all, I did not always used to be good. So that should tell y'all something. You can get there too. It just takes a lot of practice and consistency. So that was all the footage I got because my freaking phone died. But I went ahead and applied the top coat, and we did add this super cute gem, and this is how that came out. It's getting very much a Valentine's Day cutie, right? So anyways, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I hope you ladies enjoyed this video. It was fun getting back to you guys, and yeah, until the next video.